Uno, dos, tres,
Hola.
cuatro.
Hola.
Hello, hola, hola. Buenas tardes. Here
Yes.
from Chicago.
Okay. Buenas tardes a todo mundo. And today we just wanted to come here live. You know, this is part of the Lunch and Learn. But you know what? We did a workshop last night on our Facebook group, which it was amazing. And one of the topics that we want to talk today is like with our coaches, like I want to ask them, what is it the one thing that stood out, or what was one key takeaway that you learned from preparing yourself to do your part of the presentation on the workshop. So that's what we're going to be talking today about with you guys. So, you know, like we like to do always, ladies first. So, Cecilia, what did you learn from putting your presentation together, your part of the presentation?
Okay, hello everybody. Buenas tardes. Mi nombre es Cecilia, as Coach Juan said. And I'm so happy to share with you what I learned from yesterday for the presentation that we have. One of the key elements there for me was to connect with myself. I didn't want to do that. I've been resistant to do that. But I started practicing, and I saw, wow, that is what you don't wanna recognize the little girl that is inside you. You don't wanna connect with her because in this moment she was gonna be labeled as stubborn. She will be labeled like arrogant, and also I've been labeled as not listener. So I say I'm not gonna connect with that little girl that has. So I decided to do it and talk with her and give a chance to her to work with me and work together and create a new space for people when they can know that I'm human and that I have a lot to contribute. When I go inside myself instead of thinking about what other people might say. That was a beautiful for me experience, and I invite you to do. You have a chance today to do this to you. This little person, a happy person. I have a friend whose name was Pablo. Polo. Polo used to say to me, "Ceci, be good to little Ceci," because he knows that I want perfection. That's been my life. Do the wrong way. I'm a retired school teacher, so there in my mind there was no room for mistakes. You all have your 45 students, 39 in front of you, and you need to have the right answer. You cannot say, "Give me a second, I'm gonna Google it." It was not allowed that. Even you had the computer in there, you're not supposed to do that. So that had been my attitude, that you gotta show that you know it all, and doesn't allow me to move forward. So learning how to connect with myself today, I feel freedom. I feel much happier, and I feel that I can do anything if I keep connecting with that little girl. Also, thank you.
Beautiful, beautiful. Thank you, Ceci, for helping us with that. And you know what, like she said, connect with the little girl inside of you. And we want to, as males, we want to connect with the little boy inside of us from time to time. Give them a chance, an opportunity to express that inner voice, that inner, the inner voice that's still inside of us. And it's been said that everybody has this little boy inside of them all the time. So it doesn't matter how old we are, that little person, that little go-getter is always inside of you. So thank you, Ceci, for that.
So when you talk about that little boy, why don't you talk about your preparation for our talk yesterday?
Yes, getting prepared for this event was a challenge for me, and because like Ceci says, like sometimes we wanna show perfection in front of a camera. We wanna show other people that we're perfect, but in reality, we all have things that we struggle with, that we battle with, and we want to be transparent. We want to be humble with our audience. We want to be humble with our team leaders, with our coaches, with our team members. It's not about being perfect. It's about how can you overcome every struggle that you go through in your life. And getting prepared for that message was like, a lot of it had to do with my dad. Growing up with my dad, not only growing up with my dad, but once we started working together, I spent 17 years of my life working together with my dad, working in the swimming pool industry. And you know what? He's the one that got me through most of my years, especially the first years in the business where I used to hate it. And that's part of I think any business, like if you don't really like what you're doing from the beginning, you're gonna have a struggle staying involved and getting engaged and getting emotionally involved with it. But my dad was like, come on, man, we have to get this done. We have to just hang in there, just hang in there. But you know what? After a couple of years, I started loving that industry. Once you start learning the process about what is it that you're doing, and I was like, okay, now I'm getting it. But my dad was like my greatest mentor, my greatest coach. I mean, in the world, like he's the reason that I'm here today. I remember he told me one day, he's like, if you don't get your shit together, you're never gonna become anybody. But then he said, like, there's greatness inside of you. If you get your things together, going in the right direction, you're gonna become somebody of, like not excellence but importance. Like somebody's gonna be able to make a difference in the world. And another thing that I discovered was like one of the key points that I mentioned there. It says, by making a simple decision, the greatest minds of the past are available to you. And like, like I read the book Think and Grow Rich for the first time when I was about 32, 33. And I thought I knew it all. Like, okay, I read the book. Like I didn't really get much out of the book. But you know what, now 10, 12 years after reading the book with the mastermind, like really studying the book, like I found the self-success formula in there. Like, how come I didn't see this in there before? I mean, and Bob says, it's the repetition of the repetition is the mother of all. I forgot how he says it. Hold on. Come back. But you know what? It's about repeating. It's about like really looking for the gold in everything that we do. That's the only way that we're gonna gain an understanding. So once I read here, the greatest minds of the past are available to you. They're in books, they're in YouTube channels, they're in Spotify, they're all over the place. But you have to learn how to access those great minds. So that was one of my wake up moments for me getting ready for this presentation, Bruce and Cecilia. So what about Bruce?
Thank you.
Well, just as a quick aside, Bob Proctor said repetition is the mother of all learning.
Yes, thank you.
No problem. All right, so for me, similar to both of you, I wanted to do a great presentation. We only had 10 minutes, and I think mine was probably the smallest portion because it's the simplest. I was talking about goals, and most of us know basically about goals, but here it was distinguishing between the simple goals and the stretch goals, the really stretch goals that you want, and maybe you're putting down every year on your New Year's resolutions, but they were showing up because you weren't completing them. So it's that big why for you. And for me, it is making a significant dent in the violence in the city of the kids, So I was engaged in that a number of years ago, 20 years ago, and I think we're making a dent, and we were horrible fundraisers. So we fell flat on our face. I had to go back to work for a living, and I was making promises to kids at different presentations that I grew up in a place where I could walk any time of day or night. I never felt any danger. I wanted every kid to have that. And I was saying, there are people working on this so that you too could have that kind of peace of mind. And the situation has only gotten worse. So I felt like I had failed. But as I got nearer to this retirement, I was like, you know what, I can get back into that. It was really with the help of the Think Into Success Academy and the coaches here. At first, I was like, don't get me started again. That was such a sad experience when I shut down our program. And then little by little, I was like, why not? We have the internet. We can communicate with people more effectively. Our big cost years ago with comic books was the color printing. We don't have that problem anymore. We can put it up on the internet and you can use full 4-color printing. It's not a problem anymore. So I was like, okay, so what are the programs that are going to make the biggest difference with the young people? And I was like, all right, I got to figure that out, and I got to do some market research, blah, blah, blah. And then who am I? I didn't grow up in an unsafe neighborhood. I grew up in a very safe neighborhood, so I felt like an interloper. And yet I had attended the Gang Peace Summit in a hotel here in Chicago in 1993. So I was doing my market research, and then when I was working with the kids in our comic program, I was working to do the market research. So anyhow, I was like, my whole thing is on gold. And what am I going to say? What am I going to say? So I know what my big why goal is, but I was like, am I really going to get into that again, or am I going to get stuck? So am I going to go back to safety? And I love coaching. So for me, coaching, which was safe, or my big why goal or C goal was the comic book, I'm going to call it media program, which I didn't know how to fund. And in my market research, I talked with this Earl King, who was one of the two founders of the Gang Peace Summit, and just talked with him recently. And it was, how can we do this? And he has a whole book on how to bring this to schools where it's needed. And then yesterday, I had a conversation with a guy, Mark Papadis, and he's got a program called I Am for Kids. And it's a brilliant program. And he too is looking for somebody to work with him, together to promote the program and Earl's program.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So I'm like, okay. I'm the steps that we talk about, even though there's that terror barrier where I'm scared. So it was preparing my talk for last night that really had me get into action, because I didn't want to let my team down. I wanted to do a good job on my part, but I also don't want to let the kids down out there. There is an impact that we have to make, me, Mark, Earl, and others. And I want to know how we could get it into the schools, how we can get it into churches, youth organizations, so it becomes a part of our daily conversations. Mark's is all about kids learning to become their own role models, so that they don't have to depend on they can depend, but by the time they complete the program, they know who they are and what they believe in. And Earl's is very similar. So that's the message I want to get out there. I want kids beginning to think at an early age, a later age, I know who I am. So if somebody invites me to go break a store window, I either have to say, yes, that's who I am, or that's not who I am. I'm not going to do that. And nobody's making you do that. You're choosing to do whatever you do. So I hope I answered your question.
Oh, yeah, you did.
That had me get excited about delivering my portion yesterday.
Good.
I love that. I love it. Would you like to add anything to that, Cecilia?
I know. I think he, Bruce did well, great, and at the same time, not only he was, giving us the knowledge about the goals, how to set up different types of goals, but he was enrolling us in the program. So I hope you guys over there and get enrolled and show up in a space, Bruce's space, and cooperate. We committed to support him. So I hope you guys, somebody over there, the audience, could support us.
Yes, and you know what, Bruce, I really love your mission. I mean, I always wanted to inspire the younger generation, because I know there's so much that they can give and they can express themselves, but sometimes we hang around with the wrong crowds and we ended up using all of our talents and abilities in the wrong way. And I think that's a beautiful thing that you're doing with the mission that you have. That's part of who you are. That's part of your essence, and I applaud you for that, Bruce. Because growing up, we had the same challenges growing up in the barrio and growing up with gangs and doing drugs and start drinking at a younger age and all that stuff. But that's because we're all looking to fit in with some type of crowd, and if that's the crowd that's going to accept us, then we're going to go with the crowd. It doesn't matter what they do. I mean, if they're the ones that are going to accept us and we're being rejected by the other part of the society, well, guess what? Where I'm going to go? I'm going to go where I'm accepted. And I think that's the awareness that we want to bring to kids, not just in the U.S., but all over the world. Everybody needs an opportunity to express themselves. And so thank you for that, Bruce. And Ceci, you know what? You talk about reconnecting with that little girl. I think that was amazing too. So thank you guys. So today's Friday, guys. And if you still don't have the formula, #formula, we'll get it to you guys. And You guys are invited to come and take part of the coaching sessions that we have during the week. Just let us know. We'll get you in there for, I don't know, as long as you need, 7-10 days, whatever you need. But we want you to take action. There's a lot of opportunities for every individual here. So it doesn't matter where you're from. It doesn't matter if you're a third world country or in the US or Mexico. I mean, we have a space. Colombia, yes. Colombia, Chile. So
Colombia is looking for people. Colombia is looking for looking for help. So we are here to help Colombia. Yeah. All the kids there.
So how come you don't say something to your Colombian people in Spanish, Cecilia? So,
yes.
So yeah, all of these little steps that I'm taking to better my, todos los pasos que estoy tomando para aprender y ser mejor ser humano, is because I need that. I feel that I need to help my country. Necesito ayudar a mi gente. Y por ustedes lo estoy haciendo.
Yes. So guys, I want to say something in Spanish too. So, estamos aquí con el propósito de ayudar a cada uno de nuestros escuchantes que está allá afuera. Muchos de nosotros estamos pasando por alguna barrera de miedo que no nos deja avanzar, y ese miedo existe solamente aquí, en medio de estas dos orejitas que tenemos de nuestra mente. Así es de que si están batallando con algo tan que no pueden superarse, nosotros los queremos ayudar. Y no importa de qué parte del mundo sean. Tenemos gente en nuestro grupo que habla español, tenemos gente que habla francés, de Albania, de diferentes partes del mundo. Así es de que no vamos a... Yeah, go ahead.
Y queremos practicar nuestro español. So we need you. Necesitamos que nos ayudes con el español. Y nosotros te ayudamos como podemos con nuestro inglés, lo que estamos aprendiendo también. So estamos para ustedes acá. Estamos acá. Colombia, I'm here for you. Okay.
Bien, aquí estamos en México. Tenemos a Bruce aquí, nuestro hermano americano. He's probably thinking, what are they saying? But anyways.
The gringo says what they say.
El gringo entiende mucho ahora, so watch out, guys. Entiende mucho este gringo. Está cada día y admira mucho nuestra cultura, nuestros valores. Ha descubierto que tenemos mucho cariño, somos muy, muy emocionales, y esa emoción la podemos dirigir en una forma positiva. La podemos hacer. Entonces, él le gusta nuestra cultura por eso. Nos aprecia mucho y nos quiere. Y nosotros queremos a todos, les queremos ayudarlos con lo que estamos aprendiendo. Entonces, no duden, danos una conexión, conectarse con nosotros, a ver cómo nos podemos ayudar todos para salir adelante en este mundo tan lindo que está creado para disfrutarlo.
Yes, gracias, Ceci. And Bruce, thank you for being part of the Lunch and Learn here with us. And we're excited to be happy to be able to be back here on Monday with you guys. So thank you for being part of this community. We'll see you Monday.
Great weekend, everybody. Have a great weekend.
A disfrutar la vida, muchachos. Bye bye.